Hello everyone, welcome to my first mostly informative video and not a gaming based one. This video is going to be the first in a series of videos that each describe and go over each of the RMS Titanic's decks. I will be starting with the first deck at the very bottom, which is called the tank top, and I will be making episodes on different decks of the Titanic going up from there until I reach the boat deck, which is the highest deck attainable on the Titanic. And on each deck I will describe and tell you about the contents of it, like the cabin, how many cabins, and the amount of coal, statistics. I'll also be showing images that I can find of the decks. And yeah, it's pretty much just going to be a passion project for me to show you guys some of my interests and try and learn more even for myself about the different decks of the Titanic. And yeah, let's get into it. Before I tell you about the Titanic's decks, I need to tell you about what Titanic was. Titanic was the largest and arguably most luxurious passenger ship at the time of her maiden voyage. Construction began on the Titanic in 1908, and she was commissioned in 1911. She was dubbed as an unsinkable ship, and her maiden voyage was from Southampton, England, to New York City in the United States. In 1912, that was when her maiden voyage was, and it was supposed to be a great success for the company that owned her, known commonly as the White Star Line. Unfortunately, this was not to be. While on her maiden voyage, she struck an iceberg and sank in the North Atlantic, costing the lives of an estimated 1,517. Now she rests at the bottom of the sea and is a solemn reminder that arrogance and foolhardiness can lead to tragedy. Of course, there are many more intricacies to the story, and I will address the majority of them later in this series. But now it is time to get into today's video, which is going to be talking about Titanic's tank top deck, which was the deck that housed the boiler rooms and the coal, and also the reciprocating engines. So, without further ado, let's begin. Now to talk about Titanic's tank top deck, as you can see now. We will be starting by describing it from the bow to the stern to avoid confusion. So in case you don't know about naval talk, or maritime talk I guess, then that would be from the right to left. In the forward part of the tank top, there was something called the Fireman's Passage. This would be a place for firemen, who were the people who worked in the boiler rooms and shoveled coal into the boilers to continue to keep the ship running. This is where they would go to head to their rooms and to get to the higher decks, because there weren't many exits that directly led to the boiler rooms. This is also where coal bunkers were. Inside these coal bunkers was thousands of tons of coal, which would be used to power the engines and keep the ship running. As we move further aft, you can see all of the boilers, boiler rooms 1 through 6. These were the main things that powered the ship and made it propel itself forward. It would be steam powered. That's why Titanic was called steamship. Anyways, as we continue moving back, you will find storage for things like food and just other passenger things, and just an assortment of things that you need on a ship when you're traveling across the Atlantic. And then if you go further back, you'll find the reciprocating engines. This is where the real magic happened. This is where the Titanic had its main propellers. So the boilers that we had just talked about previously, they powered this engine, and it made the propellers turn around so that the ship would propel itself forward, just like the propellers their name suggests. They're called reciprocating because a reciprocate means to spin around, and that's what it did to the propellers. It made them spin. Anyway, this was manned by engineers and many crew, and many of them lost their lives, unfortunately, in the sinking. Also, back here is the place where the entire ship was powered, so the main generators. This is where the electricity from the ship would come from, and it would make sure that the people on the ship, the passengers and the crew, didn't lose power or anything like that. And the main people who were in the generator room, they what they did was, when the ship was sinking, they risked their lives, and most of them died, just to keep the power on until the very end, right before the ship split in two. That's pretty much all for the tank top deck. There wasn't much to cover for today's video, but very soon I'll be releasing a video about the orlop deck, which is the next deck up, and it is a lot more complicated and intricate. So look forward to that. It's gonna be a much longer video, and thank you for watching this one. I look forward to making the rest of this series, and I will see you later.